Hollywood, the Jimmy Durante Show.
The Johnson Wax Program with Fibber McGee and Molly.
Now, have you heard the news?
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
Two travelers blast beyond the barriers of space and time through 1,000,000 would-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. Yes, radio listeners, it's time once again to join truth seekers from around the globe who anxiously await the return of Mike Malloy, Radio Gumshoe.
You remember last time Mike, Kathy, and Asta followed Molly to the mysterious Mr. Moody, who not only repaired their AE-35 unit, but also filled them in on the strange goings-on in the little town of Springfield. Powerful antidepressants have been dumped into the town's water supply to keep the residents docile while they produce sitcoms for an unsuspected nation. Put on the coffee pot, kiddies, because it's time for tonight's thrilling episode, Chapter 6, Speeding Doom. After a couple of days of living in Springfield and drinking the water, you'll fit right in. You might even start to like Ricky Nelson's music. God help you.
This is one big reality show. We've got to get out of here.
Who runs this town? Well, who do you want to know about first? The Republicans or the aliens? Well, thanks for everything, but we have to go now.
That's right. Mike, don't we have to?
We have to get back because we've got...
this thing.
Yeah, we've got a thing.
Oh, definitely a thing. We've got to...
Yeah, so we'll just be going along now. What about this here AE-35? Right. How much do we owe you? We already paid up when you dropped it off when you first moved here. Okay, so we're good then. Ready, Kathy?
Yeah, we better get going.
But you can't go now. Mr. Moody's not done telling you about the town.
Well, how much longer will this take?
Just till the end of the episode, I promise. Kathy, remember we've got that thing.
What could it hurt to hear him out?
Okay, you're the boss. Okay, Moody, you're on. Tell us about the Republicans and the aliens. Well, now I've got to ask you some questions. In all these shows we're talking about, did you ever see any black folks?
No.
Poor people? No. Did you ever hear anybody ever talk about unions?
No.
Civil rights? Women's rights? National politics? World affairs? No, and no. What are you getting at? Here in Springfield, we got better things to talk about. Like Bud trying to get a job as a stock clerk, or Beaver's got a crush on Miss Canfield, or Ozzy and that dimwit Joe Randolph think up a practical joke to pull on their wives. You know, important stuff like that.
But what does that have to do with aliens and Republicans?
It's Republicans and aliens in that order.
It's more like Republicans than aliens.
That's right, little girl. First Republicans, then aliens. Now, looky here. You got a whole town taking drugs so they can stand to churn out a version of American life that doesn't have any poor people in it. There's no need to talk about civil rights because there aren't any black folks. And everybody's happy at their job, so who needs unions? It's a Republican paradise. No sex or rock and roll. So who do you suppose was behind the scenes here? Who do you suppose was footing the bill to put out the idea that this is what it's like in the good old USA?
Republicans?
Right you are, little lady. The same folks that dreamed up, I like Ike.
Now tell them about the aliens.
Well, don't rush me. I'm getting to it. Did you ever see that movie that came out a few years back? Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
They filmed that here?
No, of course not. But the writer fellow who wrote the story drove through here, and Springfield must have made quite an impression on him. You mean there really are pods from outer space, and when you go to sleep? That's not how it works at all. You mean the movie lied? That was a movie. They had to change a bunch of stuff around so they could get it made. They had to make it more dramatic.
What do you mean?
Well, the process is pretty dull, actually. You got to remember, everybody was shuffling around like zombies from the drugs in the water, and that makes folks susceptible to the collective hive mind of the Borg. The Borg? Yeah, that's what they call it.
The Borg. How can you tell when that's happened to someone?
That's easy. Nobody gets any older. Well, a little bit. But it takes a really long time.
Well, take a look at the Beaver, or anybody from those shows. They've been on for years, but hardly anybody's aged at all. But those are reruns, aren't they? Nope. After a while, the aliens realized there wasn't any reason to write new stories, so they keep doing the same scripts over and over. But what's the point? Why are they doing this? You know, for a smart fella, you sure don't know very much about aliens. Once again, not covered in the manual. What aliens always want? to take over the planet, that's what.
But world domination through sitcoms? That's crazy.
Not if it works. What's the name of that German philosopher fella? You know, the one who said, if you gaze into the abyss gazes also into you?
Nietzsche. Friedrich Nietzsche.
Now, that's the one. Never could pronounce his name the same way twice.
Tell them about the observer effect.
Oh, I know that one. That's one of the basic premises of quantum theory. It states that the very act of watching the observer affects the observed reality.
Quantum theory?
It was in the manual.
Now put them together, and what do you got?
Bibbidi-bobbidi-boo?
Well, that, and the takeover of human beings by invaders from outer space. Here's how it works. How long have people been watching these shows on the TV where you folks are from?
50 years.
Yeah. And when you stare at these things over and over, it stares back, correct?
Yeah.
And just by watching this stuff, the people watching this stuff...
So you're saying Father Knows Best, Leave It to Beaver, Ozzie and Harriet is the abyss?
Yeah. And it stares back into whatever's watching. Changes whoever's watching it just a little bit, and you watch it again, and it changes you a little more.
And whatever you're watching changes too.
That's right. The abyss changes and adapts, and the people staring into it change and adapt to it. Now, what do you suppose that does to people after 50 years or so? What are people like where you're from?
Well, the literacy rate's gone down. People believe in angels instead of facts.
They're getting dumber, aren't they? They're not paying attention to what's going on around them, and sooner than later, bingo! Here come the board.
How do you know all this? You're not from around here, are you?
Not really. You might say I'm just kind of an observer.
How come you and Molly haven't been taken over?
Well, I'm not partial to water, and Molly here seems to exist entirely on yoo-hoos.
So, what are we supposed to do?
Well, I told you in the last episode. Take the AE-35, whatchamacallit, Molly and your little dog, and get out of here before it's too late. And that means now.
What'll happen if we don't leave right away?
Well, something's been building up, and I think they're going to make their move here pretty quick. There's a meeting in a little while in the town square with all the production companies. I don't think we should stick around and see what will happen next.
We?
You don't mind if I tag along, do you? I can be kind of handy if your machine breaks down again.
What's that?
It appears the fun has already started.
What the hell is that?
Looks like they're putting on their season finale.
Mike, look over there. The lights.
What the hell is it? It's aimed at the sky.
It's not the sky they're aiming at. It's the future.
Mike, look out!
Good God, it's...
Obscure metaphysical explanation to cover a phenomena. Reasons dredged out of the shadows to explain away that which cannot be explained. Call it parallel planes or just insanity. Whatever it is, you find it in the Twilight Zone.
Aliens and Republicans joining forces to take over the world? You don't hear something like that every day, friends and neighbors. Round and round she goes, and how weird it will get, nobody knows. Here's a glimpse into our next mind-shredding episode.
We don't have to be mean, because remember, no matter where you go, there you are.
For more heart-pounding excitement, be sure to tune in next time for the return of Mike Malloy, Radio Gumshoe.